But weed, no, no weed. Well, I've been living in Sweden for almost a year. It'll be a year on May 10th. This weekend is Valborg, which is a holiday where people drink for 24 hours. Am I going to participate in that? No. I mean, I might have some wine or something, but I'm not going to drink for 24 hours because that's just excessive. So what I'm going to talk about today is Sweden and their hypocrisy when it comes to marijuana legalization. If you are a Swedish person watching this and you have been brainwashed by the Swedish government to believe that marijuana is just as bad as heroin, you have been lied to. So yes, in Sweden, weed is illegal. It is not decriminalized. I don't know if it is truly treated like heroin, but that is what I've heard. I have to do a lot more research on it because I really plan to, I don't know, get into politics and change it because I think it's disgusting. And it's not just because I used to partake in it when I lived in California, but, you know, I don't have a problem with it not being like legal recreationally at this point in time. Like, I'm realistic. I know that won't happen for quite some time. And that's not really what my concern is. It's not like I'm just like, oh, I want to get high, I want to smoke weed, they should make it legal because of me. No, I think it's disgusting that it's not even, cancer patients can't even use it, as far as I know. I think at the moment it's people who have MS. They may have added another illness, but cancer is not among them as far as I know, the last time I read about it. And I think that's disgusting. It's like I heard a story about someone who had cancer and they were at like some place talking about it, and someone was like, oh, I get really nauseous, like what can I do to stop that? And the person recommended some crap thing that wasn't really going to help. And then someone else was like, well, what about marijuana? And they were like, oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not allowed to bring that up. And that was in California. Like, they're letting people, at least this was years ago, but they were letting people who had cancer suffer because of nothing. And in Sweden, I think it's extremely disgusting because anywhere where alcohol is legal, you have no right to tarnish marijuana's reputation. And people drink a lot in Sweden. Like, a lot. But yeah, I think that's absurd that alcohol is just fine here. You can fill your body with that poison, but don't you dare smoke a joint. Don't you dare eat an edible. Because of course smoking anything is bad for you. You know, you're inhaling smoke into your lungs, but that isn't the only way, you know? There's even not, they don't even have to have THC, like, in the damn weed. I mean, it could just be CBD oil and shit that could really help people who have cancer, kids who have seizures. Why? Why Sweden? Why? I think Sweden is a great place for a lot of reasons, but this is ridiculous. And I think about it all the time. I get so pissed. And I'm like, you know, screw me and my, like, oh, I would like, you know, weed has helped me with anxiety. Of course, it's just a temporary, you know, solution. But it's a much better thing than America, at least, the medication that they give you for anxiety. It's usually benzos, which are horribly addictive and just a nightmare. I never took them. I never will. Here, the anxiety medication is like stuff they give to kids. It's super, like, it works very well, but it's not intense at all. It's good. So at least they're not giving people all these pills that are addictive and stuff and then saying no weed. But I do think it's ridiculous to people smoke cigarettes here. They kill, that's a fact. Alcohol kills. Marijuana has not killed a single person as of yet as like a direct cause of the marijuana usage. Like, it doesn't make any damn sense, and it frustrates me. You know, you got a holiday dedicated to 24 hours of drinking, but don't you dare celebrate 420, Sweden. Get your act together. I'm watching you. Snoop Dogg is watching you. I wish I could splice in an image of him closing the door with a confused look on his face because it was very funny. But yes, I am disappointed. I knew this way before I moved here. I was disappointed then, and I'm disappointed now. When it comes to that, Swedish people, especially older people, are just very ignorant. Like, what in the world? You're letting people suffer because of what? Why, Sweden? Why? And it's really about awareness. And I'm trying to spread awareness. If you're Swedish and you're watching this, do your research. A lot of sources are biased. You've been fed a lot of ridiculous information. My therapist tried to shove the whole, like, oh, it can cause schizophrenia bullshit down my throat. Yes, it has been known that people who are already more likely to have schizophrenia or it's runs in their family, it can, like, trigger it, supposedly. But I think it's when you're very young. And I completely agree that weed should be legal if you're 21 and up. I agree with that. I really believe in this shit. You know, your brain's not fully developed. And yeah, I don't think a bunch of 12-year-olds should be smoking weed. But when it's illegal and it's treated as like some horrible bad thing, people are going to do it when they're acting out and stuff, which it's better to use weed than heroin. But that's another reason, the whole gateway drug thing, which I think is a myth. I haven't done a lot of extensive research, but I think a lot of that is because in places where weed is seen as taboo, the same people who tend to go to harder drugs, weed is like a hard drug too in Sweden. It's seen as like, whoa, weed is dangerous or it's bad. So people start with weed and then they move up because they're already doing something bad anyway. Whereas in California, I don't know anyone who's ever started with weed and gone to heroin. I mean, maybe I do and I'm not aware, but you know, I think it's much, much more rare in a place like California where it is now legal. But, you know, even before it was decriminalized. And yeah, at least decriminalize it, Sweden. Please decriminalize marijuana soon. Because you're doing so much harm by having tobacco legal and alcohol. It's so hypocritical and so asinine and it infuriates me. Anyway, the point is, you're a hypocrite if you think weed is evil, but you drink and that's fine. And I get it, you grow up in Sweden, you're socialized to believe this, but it's not true. Do your research, take a trip to California and realize that Sweden is missing out on something that would work miracles for people who have seizures, for people who have horrible nausea from cancer and other illnesses. I mean, that is my main concern, is that people who are possibly dying or who are suffering so much can go to the store and buy cigarettes and make their condition worse, or drink tons of alcohol and make themselves feel like shit. But weed is just the devil when it's so much better. It's like when you have alcohol and tobacco legal in the country and weed is illegal, it's like having every horrible, awful, terrible food that you could ever have and giving it to your kid and not letting them eat something that's like, it's not super healthy, but it's not so bad either, you know? It's like, no, have all the crap, but don't have this thing that actually has some benefits and is a little crappy. And the only really crappy thing about weed is if you smoke it, which is not, you don't have to. People who have cancer and other illnesses could eat edibles, they could use the oil, they could use this, you know, CBD. They don't have to get high. They don't have to be stoned. If you're not into being stoned, but you want the pain to go away, you should have that damn option. This video was going to be a lot shorter, but I have so much to say about this. It infuriates me. It infuriates me. Screw you, Carl. Just kidding. He doesn't have anything to do with this. It's just a damn shame, and it has to start with the spread of accurate information. So do your research. If you are a Swedish person, please, I hope you watch this and I hope you do your research, because it starts with people becoming knowledgeable, because, you know, Sweden is a great democratic society, and if people want it, it can happen. It will happen. 2025, weed will be decriminalized. Okay, that's too damn long. 2020. Let's go for 2020. I was gonna say legal. 2025 legal. 2020 decriminalized. Decriminalize weed. Seriously, decriminalize marijuana. It can save lives. It can save souls. Who can say where the road goes? And it can also be really inspiring if you're an artist. So, there's that. Or an engineer, whatever.